Now, I have no problem with people doing a tribute, honouring Sam Neill or anyone who has retired or who has passed on. No problem at all. What's the lesson in it, though? Let me tell you the lesson, from my perspective. Sometimes what people will do in life is they will wait until a person is dead, until they truly divulge what it is that they feel about said person. You know, folks, religion is great. It's great for many reasons. And, spirituality is great for many reasons. They also have their costs as well. And one of the costs for me, one of the, I don't want to say problems with religion, but it sort of is a problem. It can be a problem. You see this whole idea of heaven and the fucking spirit realm, and this idea that we're all whizzing around as, energetic flows in the universe, flows of energy. This idea that our soul leaves our body and we go to this other place where all of these souls and all of this energy interacts. I do love the idea of some of this stuff. Like, I love the idea of cosmic energy. Like, I love this idea that the body is just a vessel for housing our energy. And energy can be neither created nor destroyed, so when the vessel dies, all that happens is the energy that powered the vessel goes back out into the universe. No energy has been destroyed. So I love all these ideas. I love the idea that when someone dies, yeah, their body might decompose, their tissue might rot, that's true. And the vessel will be given back to Earth, that's true. But I love this idea that when someone dies, the energy that powered them goes back out into the universe. And of course, we use our imaginations, and I love the idea also that this energy isn't just random, that it has a certain consciousness. I love this idea of a conscious energy that leaves a body. Now, it's great, and we're all free to indulge our imaginations, no problem. However, there is a trap that we can fall into. Let me explain the trap. Heaven, no problem. If you want to subscribe to the Bible and Christianity and Catholicism and all this sort of stuff, and you think there's a kingdom of heaven where all people rise up into whenever they die, no problem. If you think there's a spirit realm, where people's souls go to after they die, no problem. If you're, one of these people, a bit like myself, who loves this idea of cosmic energy, and that when a body and a vessel that houses the energy dies, the energy itself goes back out into the universe and sort of has a consciousness about it, all these things are fine. But here's the trap that we can fall into. The trap we can fall into is, if we believe that there's a heaven and that the souls all go to the spirit realm and that the conscious energetic flows that leave someone's body whiz around in the universe and interact with one another, if you indulge this a little too much, you know what happens? Or you know what can happen? You can become careless and sloppy in the here and now. So, let's pick heaven, for example, because, there are billions of people who follow Christianity. It's probably the biggest religion on earth. Correct me if I'm wrong. Billions of people subscribe to this notion of Jesus and God and heaven and all of this sort of stuff. Now, no problem. I have no problem with this at all. But the trap would be, here's what the trap would be. Sure, look, I'm going to go to heaven anyway. And sure, when I go to heaven, I get to see all the people who have died. So, it doesn't really matter what I do here on earth. It's just, as long as I'm a decent enough person, as long as I'm not breaking the law, as long as I'm not being mean to people, as long as I'm not being cruel, if I just live a good life, I'll ascend up into heaven and then I'll get to see all my people again. And so, if I'm going to see them again in a few years, do I really need to invest that much time and energy into them now on earth? If they're going to live for all of eternity in heaven, sure, I'll get to live with them as a spirit, or my soul will get to live with them for all of eternity. And sure, if I'm going to see them for all of eternity in the kingdom of heaven, well, sure. Does it really matter if I leave it all out on the field here on earth? Does it really matter if I, don't meet up with them for, that conversation that I should have met up with them for? Does it really matter if I don't wholeheartedly invest in them here on earth? Sure, I can always get them again in the spirit realm. I can always get them again in heaven. Can you sort of see what happens? People can get very complacent. They can get sloppy and careless. Because they can think, well, sure, if I'm going to go up to heaven anyway, if my soul is destined for the spirit realm, but sure, I'll see them again anyway. No big deal. And then what ends up happening? People get lazy. They get sloppy in the here and now. I don't know about you on the other end of the screen listening to this. I don't know about you, but I'm not in the spirit realm at the moment. I don't think I am. I don't believe I'm in heaven at the moment. I don't believe that I'm a fucking, conscious energetic flow whizzing through the universe at the moment. No, I am a human whose feet are very firmly planted on planet Earth. This is the realm that I'm currently in. I'm in the physical realm of Earth. Okay. And what I would not want to do is allow religion or spirituality or fucking, cosmic energy talk to start influencing my behavior in a way here on earth whereby I start to reduce my degree of investment in people who I really care about. That would be the trap. You could get a little careless with people in the here and now. Now, do I think any of these people on the BBC's article or in the BBC's article are careless and sloppy? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just using this as an example. Sam Neill has died. So all of these tributes, Sam Neill as a human, as a human who has the ability to interact with other humans, he will never have the opportunity to actually be in his human form again and to receive all of this adoration, admiration, and praise. He has died. And what I'll often see, folks, this is what I'll often see, just from an observational standpoint in my own life. I will often see people sort of get very careless with their relationships, whether it's romantic relationships or friendships. If we're lucky, folks, we probably have about 5 people in our lives. I'm not talking about your followers on TikTok or Instagram. And I'm not even just talking about people that you know. Just because you know someone, it doesn't mean they are, someone who has a deep relationship with you. I know a lot of people, but I wouldn't call them friends. That doesn't mean they're bad people. But I wouldn't call them friends. I wouldn't call them people who I deeply care about. No. There are a select few people on this planet, less than 5 people in my life who I would truly care about. The rest of them, I'll associate with them for some sort of a, more diluted friendship. There'll be a more diluted friendship, a sort of business relationship, something like that. No problem. But there aren't really that many people who I truly care about. Less than 5, I would say, for myself. And I would argue that most people have less than 5 truly deep relationships in their lives. Okay. What I'll often see is, I will see people. Those 5 people. Let's just call it 5 people. Those 5 people in your life who really mean the most to you. I will see people get very sloppy with how they deal with those people. They'll get complacent and careless. And then what happens? Well, someday they die. And you've got a whole bunch of people in a very awkward set of circumstances now, whereby they have not said all the things that they wanted to say to this person while they were living in their human form here on earth. In other words, people end up having regrets about having not truly either invested in this person to the degree that they should have and truly told them how much they value them. And so when the person dies, they have a whole fuck ton of regrets. Why didn't I not tell them this thing? Why didn't I not go out with them for that stroll on the beach? Why didn't I not take them out to dinner and have that conversation that I should have had? People will end up having a whole bunch of regrets. And then what ends up happening is we have people at a funeral service who get up onto the fucking podium and give this big soppy obituary, or whatever the fuck you call it, this big, what's the name for the thing in religious terms where they do this sort of a dedication to the person, and they're up on the altar and they're weeping and they're crying, I'm just so sad, he's gone, I'm seeing all this, and I'm sort of looking at the person and I'm like, yeah, are you really sad that they're dead? Or are you looking inwards and are you extremely annoyed at yourself for not having invested in this person and for not having told this person what you really thought about them while they were still living? And now you're up on the fucking podium in the chapel weeping. It's just terrible. Yeah, and I see a lot of this, and I'm not saying this is everyone, but I do see a lot of people go on like this. And I do question, what is the source of the emotion? What is the source of the tears? Is it really the passing of the person? Or is it a deep regret that they never invested in the way that they should have? And they are now deeply annoyed at themselves. They are so annoyed at themselves for having left things unsaid, for having not given their absolute best to this person. When I read this BBC article, what we can learn from this BBC article is, don't wait until the person is dead to truly tell them what you think of them. And don't wait until the person is dead. Because, once they're dead, you can't really do anything for them anymore. That ship has sailed. That train has raced past. You've missed the opportunity to get on that train. It's gone. And you see, sometimes what I notice is people who really indulge themselves in heaven. Oh, heaven. Sure, we're all gonna go to heaven. Come by fucking yeah. We'll all end up in heaven. So that means I don't have to do much here on earth. Well, let me tell you what I do. Because you're listening to Bandido Talks. So you must want to know what the Bandido thinks. I say this all the time. You know what my default is? Here's what my default is. Look, I'm like anyone. I have an imagination. I love the notion, as I've already said, of cosmic energy. That people's energy lives on. And it lives on in a sort of conscious state. Okay, that's me indulging my imagination, indulging my creativity. I don't know, I have no evidence to prove this is right. It's just a theory. It's a way that I sort of like to look at the universe. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's only transformed and transferred throughout the universe. Okay. While I may love that idea, let me tell you what my default is. My default is not, oh yes, heaven, the spirit world, and fucking conscious energetic flows of energy. No, that's not my default. My default is that you see whenever I die here on earth, the fucking light is out. That's it. That's what my default is. And I'll tell you why I have that as my default. The reason why my default is heaven doesn't exist, the spirit realm doesn't exist, conscious energetic flows don't exist. The reason why my default is that none of these exist is because this protects me against complacency in the here and now. You know, as I said earlier, what realm am I currently in? Am I in heaven? Do I see the bearded man that is Jesus walking around? No, I don't. I'm going to assume Jesus is up there in heaven. Am I in the spirit realm? So do I see a whole bunch of spirits and souls whizzing around? No, I don't see that either. I came in the front door this morning and my cat was there looking for food. Pretty sure it's not a spirit. And am I seeing a whole bunch of, conscious energetic flows, whizzing past me? No. I am currently in the realm that I'm going to call Earth. That's where I am right now. Now look, when I die, if I end up in heaven, fantastic. Great. That's a new chapter in my life, and I will appropriately adjust according to the new environmental set of circumstances and the new form that I find myself in. Great, no problem. If I end up in the spirit world and I can transform into a Tyrannosaurus Rex or a raptor in honor of Dr. Alan Grant, fantastic. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But you see right now, I ain't seen that bridge. I'm not at that point yet. I'm living here on Earth. There are lots of things for me to do here on Earth. There are lots of ways for me to enjoy my time in this human body here on Earth. And the last thing I want to do is to get fucking complacent. And to basically kick back and say, but sure, look, I may as well smoke a bit of wacky tobacco. I may as well just, sniff the magic mushrooms. I may as well, just fucking, I don't know. I may as well just do some crazy things like jump in a river in Florida and swim with the crocodiles. Oh yeah, I'll go do that. Because, sure, I'm going to end up in heaven. And sure, when I end up in heaven, sure, I'll be able to meet all my past people. Wonderful stuff. No, that is not my default. My default is none of it exists. Now, as I've said, I have a brain which has an imagination. I do have some creativity in this brain of mine. And I'm more than happy to speculate about what happens after we die. No problem. I have my own theories about that. But while I am here living on planet Earth, I'm going to make sure that I live the best life that I can live in this fucking realm. And you see any of the people that I meet here on planet Earth, and any of those people who I have very strong relationships with, I'm going to make sure that I am investing as much as I can in them within reason, so that I have no regrets when the day and hour comes that they pass on to the spirit realm, heaven, or as a fucking conscious energetic flow in the universe. That's my default. And so, this is the thing. What do I learn from Sam Neill in this case? And whenever I read this BBC article, and I see all these people, giving their tributes to Sam Neill, well, what do I learn from this? Yeah, well, you know what I learned from this? Don't wait until the person's dead to give them your tribute. Has anybody ever thought of this? Why do we not have tributes while they're still alive? Why do we wait until they're dead? Why not every week do a tribute to someone that you care about? How about every month? I don't know what works for you, but why not demonstrate? Why not give your honorary speech? Why not give your tribute to the person while they're still alive? Why wait until they're dead? Because, let's say they are up in heaven, or they're in the spirit realm. Well, you can't interact with them yet, because you're still tied to the physical realm here on Earth. So, even if they are up there, or down there, or wherever the fuck they are, even if they are there, you're going to have to wait. And I don't see the sense in getting yourself into a position of weakness in life where you're going to have a whole bunch of regrets until the day that you die. Why not just make sure that you've no regrets? Why not just close the loop? Make sure you don't have any open loops. Is that not just good practice? How do you make sure that you don't have any open loops when it comes to your nearest and dearest relationships in this life? give them your tributes while they're still alive. Invest in them while they're still alive. Tell them how much you value them while they're still alive. Show them how much you care about them while they're still alive. And if the day and hour comes, let's say they die prematurely. Let's say they die before their time. Okay, well, now you've no regrets. You've accounted for that, in other words. You've accounted for a premature death. You've accounted for just death as a whole. Is that not a better position to be in? Instead of being up fucking weeping on the altar. Fanula's gone! She's gone, God! When I see people going on like this, and I know everyone likes to say that everyone grieves differently. Right, okay. I'm happy to leave a bit of wiggle room for that. But when I see people going, Fanula! I hear all this. I can't help but be a little suspicious. I'm a little suspicious. Because I'm thinking to myself, if you had truly invested in this person, if you've truly invested time and energy in them, if you've told them that you care about them, that you value them, and you've demonstrated through your actions how much you care and value them, look, I'm not saying you can't be sad when someone dies. Fuck me. That's fine. We can't control the cascading emotions that take place when someone passes, or we have a big loss in life. Okay, no problem. But this fucking wailing, roaring, and crying, Jesus, that sort of, in my experience, is a symptom of something beyond the death of the person. I think there's a bit more going on there. And when I say a bit more going on, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking the person who's roaring and crying, yeah, I think there are a few regrets there. I think there are a few regrets. They didn't give their best to the person. They give a little bit, they give some amount, but they didn't give their best. And they know, as they stir over this dead person at a wake, or as they're lowering their fucking body into the grave, they know deep down they didn't give their best. And yeah, we all know this, folks. It doesn't matter whether it's sport, or you're getting up to, play some music, or you're going out to have a conversation with a friend. I mean, we all know when we haven't given our best in life. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling at all. Most people don't feel good when they're not giving their best. They get lousy feedback internally. It doesn't feel good. And if you know that you haven't fully invested in someone, and you haven't given your best, and then they die, well, yeah, you're going to be very annoyed at yourself. And that annoyance can definitely manifest as a bubbling and overspilling of emotion. That's true. But what I'm saying is, in the context of Sam Neill, and everything that's happened with Sam Neill, and we're seeing all of these tributes, obituaries, is that what they're called? I don't even know. These are fucking religious terms. Obituary. I don't really even know if I'm using the right word here. But I think you get what I'm saying. These tributes. All well and good. Look, if you want to make your public tribute to someone, I do have some suspicion about public tributes because, people are opportunistic. Some people like to signal their little public tribute so that they can get a bit more credibility and status by appearing as a wonderful, marvelous person for honouring Sam Neill's death. There'll be a bit of opportunism there. That's true, but I made it very clear at the beginning of the show. My emotional investment in Sam Neill has nothing to do with really him dying in and of itself. It has nothing to do with, the sadness and sorrow that his friends and family are currently experiencing. No. It's to do with him being a connection to my past, and his death being a very clear indication that time is passing, and that I'm not immortal, and that someday, I'm going to age out, and I'm going to die. And yeah, that makes us pause and reflect. But, when I look at Sam Neill and I look at all these tributes, folks, the lesson is literally stirring us right in the face here. Stop waiting until the people that you care about are dead, until you then tell them what you really think about them. Don't wait until they're dead, because once they're dead, you can't invest in them anymore. That's the end of this physical interaction here on Earth. Now look, the spirit realm, heaven, conscious energetic flows in the universe, maybe whenever you die, maybe you'll reunite with them again. Great. But my default is none of it's real. My default is when you die, that's the end of the line. Lights are out. Why do I take this as my default? Because it ensures that I don't get sloppy and careless here on Earth. And when I don't get sloppy and careless, that means I don't have any regrets. Which means when people around me start to die, which is going to happen, if the natural order of things, folks, is upheld, you are going to watch your parents die. They're going to die before you. It's normal and natural. So get used to it. You know, your grandmother and your grandfather, they're going to die too. There are going to be friends that you have that are older than you. Probability-wise, they're going to die before you as well. You know, you're going to have to deal with a lot of death in this life as you get older. So you've basically got a fork in the road. Are you going to be sloppy, complacent and careless and not invest in these people who you should be investing in? And then have a whole shit ton of regrets whenever they do die? Or are you going to do what is necessary right now here in the realm that we're going to call planet Earth in the physical world? Are you going to do everything you can right now to make sure that you have no regrets? So that when they do pass, you can continue to function in your own existence without the baggage of regret. I know what option I choose. I choose the second option. I make sure I don't allow heaven and the spirit realm to seduce me, to basically, you know, lure me into sloppy behavior, because it can. It definitely can. And so I just make sure that my default is invest in the people in the here and now, tell them truly what you think of them, and so that now means the loop is closed, all bases are covered, and if the worst thing happens, that they die, well, at least you give them everything. And you can stare yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I may be sad that this person has died. Fine. Part of living. That's part of life's contract, whether we like it or not. If you want to live, you have to understand that death is part of living. Fine. So if we can't stop death, there's no point in trying to stop it. It's going to happen. It's an uncontrollable, in other words. But what is a controllable? A controllable is the degree to which you invest in these people and the degree to which you tell them how much you care about them. That's fully under your control. Let's hone in on the controllables and let the uncontrollables do what they're going to do. We can't influence them. So that's what I take from Sam Neill's passing with regards to this article. And that's broadly what I think, folks. I think that draws the show to a close. That's a natural close.